Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I believe, is February 19th, 2020. We reconvene the Board of Finance budget hearings for 2020-2021 budget. Today is the education operations, approximately 5:30 p.m., and we are back in session. Welcome, Superintendent, members of the board, welcome.
Thank you.
If you would like to start with the presentation, the floor is all yours.
I do have some opening remarks, if that's okay,
Yes,
before I turn the meeting over to Dr. Untitled to go into some detail. So we appreciate the opportunity to share with you tonight the Board of Education's proposed budget for 2020-2021. I believe we're saying that, right? So I want you to know the board has worked very hard over the past 2 years, starting with the superintendent search, and then working with Dr. Kutaya to understand the current needs of the district. This budget excites us because it builds on the work begun this year with your support to honor our vision statement that Milford Public Schools will be a progressive school district in which students are prepared to achieve at their highest level, surrounded by an engaged community that is proud of its education system. We think the initiatives and system improvements we propose bring us closer to that vision, and we feel this budget represents what our school system needs in the coming year in order to move forward in a meaningful and purposeful way. So in the course of the board's recent work, some things became evident to us. We have a good school system filled with dedicated staff, engaged students, and supportive parents. But some program areas, while having been tweaked here and there over the years, have not been holistically evaluated for effectiveness in quite a while. Test scores have plateaued. Science and STEM are very much in the forefront worldwide, with the next generation science standards setting the direction for teaching and learning going forward. But our elementary science program is behind the times. I would call it inadequate. I don't see any other way to put it. It's the same program that my kids had over 20 years ago when they were in elementary school. Social and emotional issues continue to creep into the school day for whatever reasons, often posing a challenge to learning. And investment in high-quality professional development has at times been curtailed to accommodate very tight budgets. So you've always been very generous with the support of the needs of our physical infrastructures, but this budget gives greater focus to the teaching and learning that occurs in our buildings. I've said it before, I'm going to say it again, Milford has never looked better. It's been transformed with new sidewalks, boardwalks, upscale apartments, new amenities, activities, and fun things to do. The city continues to receive accolades from across the country about its desirability as the place to be. Milford is on the map and people are taking notice. Our population has increased over the past 2 years. Per capita income has steadily risen, and this year's kindergarten enrollment was higher than expected. We do recognize that our request is higher than what you've seen in recent years, with a 3.1% increase over the current budget. And believe me, we do not make this request lightly. We examined Dr. Kutaya's proposal in depth, and we did reduce her request by a little over $438,000. We adjusted account 4305, grounds projects, with a $265,000 reduction, and we adjusted line 7340, furniture and fixtures, with a reduction of $173,024. If we are to remain a competitive and desirable school district, the board feels we must move from tweaking to transforming the instruction that occurs in our schools. This includes making intentional decisions towards the use of high-quality, high-impact resources and instructional practices that better align with the 21st century skills students will need in tomorrow's workplace. Curiosity, problem-solving, collaboration, critical thinking, the ability to analyze data and information, adaptability, and mental agility. I could go on. There's so much. If we are to remain a competitive and desirable school district that meets the social and emotional needs of our students and staff, we must put wellness and relationships in a prominent place on the table. And if we are to remain a competitive and desirable school district, it is imperative that we align our elementary science curricula and practices with the next generation science standards so that our youngest learners will be prepared for the rigor of middle school and high school programs and beyond. We all know, I don't have to tell you this, that a strong school system benefits our entire community. Mayor Blake said during his inauguration, we must all work to ensure we have an exceptional school system. Not good, not great, exceptional. The board agrees, and we think it is incumbent upon us, all of us as city leaders, to adapt our own thinking about how we will educate our young learners going forward. Based on the feedback provided to us by our stakeholders during our superintendent search, we believe this budget sets the groundwork and represents what our community wants. It's what our community deserves, and perhaps most importantly, it's what our city, small city with a big heart, needs if we are to remain a vibrant, thriving, and desirable community in which to live, work, and raise a family. So I thank you all for your dedication to our students, to our community, your past support. I thank you for your past support, and I thank you for your time tonight. Dr. Kutaya has some details to share with you. Small community meeting of the board.
Thank you, Ms. Glennon, and thank you to this board. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you around this table about a request, specifically around some hopes and dreams we have for our young people here in Milford. And I would like the opportunity, actually, because there is so much in this budget, before we jump into the line-by-line analysis, I'd like to not do that, actually, but I'd like to share with you a presentation just to describe a little bit more in depth what is behind our 3.1% request. I think everyone has a copy of the presentation. And while this is not directly related to the budget that is before you, approved by the Board of Education, proposed to you, we keep getting the question. I've been here probably 18 months now, and this question keeps coming up, and I have affectionately called it the "what's the plan" question. What's the plan with our schools, right? Mr. Fitzpatrick, you asked us that last time we were here. The Board of Aldermen emphatically asked, what's the plan? So I want to answer that question this evening, as I will with the Board of Aldermen when I get an opportunity to speak with them. So a little bit of a history lesson, and certainly because I have only been here 18 months, I have leaned on artifacts and then some historians in the room to really inform this part of the presentation. So let me take you back to June of 2013, when a committee was brought together. And in fact, I've been told that this idea of bringing together a long-range planning committee actually was hatched in 2012. So one could argue, for over 2 years, the facilities of Milford Public Schools was contemplated and studied. So starting in June 2013, this group, which comes out of the many documents that I reviewed for this evening, came together and studied, along with a consultant, the facilities in our school district, along with enrollment projections, potential changes in the community. They moved forward a long-range plan to the Board of Education, at which time on October 13, 2014, the Board of Education voted to go back to K-5 schools, a configuration that changed us from K2-3-5 to K-5. And then on March 23rd, 2015, the Board of Ed voted on an elementary redistricting plan, moving the lines around for the new K-5 configuration. And just a few short months later, it was the first year of the K-5 configuration. Let me tell you that part of the plan here that was also adopted included reconfiguring where our preschools were located, extending our college and career pathways, and also considering enhancements to the elementary programming. Those pieces are important because you'll find some of that in the 2021 budget. So where did that work land? So when it is asked by many elected officials, what's our plan, and when are we going to actually take a look at our facilities, I would propose that that only occurred a few years ago. And these are just screenshots of the many documents and pieces of artifacts that demonstrate the in-depth work that was done by this committee. It wasn't just a quick study. It wasn't just a, let's push the button and say, we're not closing schools, we're just going to reconfigure. Actually, there was over 2 years worth of work and a lot of evidence that was gathered together, a lot of planning, as well as community forums, parent surveys, parent questionnaires. Some of you in the room may remember this. So long-range planning occurred June 2013 to March 2015, resulting in this. For 5 years, Milford had a K2-3-5 configuration. In the 15-16 school year, it was decided based on that long-range planning that we would move back to a K5 configuration. That was decided by the board in October 2014. Recall I stated that there were many surveys and opportunities for the public to come and be heard. Emphatically, the public said to us, documented in all of those pieces of evidence I just showed you screenshots, they communicated to us that they wanted a plan and they wanted us to stick to it. They wanted consistency. They did not want us to change every 5 years, quote unquote. Let me go back, let me just remind you, we have been in the K5 configuration for 5 years. We did the K2-3-5 configuration for 5 years. Let me tell you what's behind these numbers. About 3,000 students. We keep moving from K2-3-5, oh my goodness, to K5, and now we're being asked, will we close a school? So as Ms. Glenn had already mentioned, there appears to be a little bit of uptick in Milford. There's some synergy, we're a very attractive community, our grand list has grown, our population has grown, and back in 2013, there was a prediction that we would continue to decline in enrollment. Well, that story is the same, but different. We are continuing to decline in enrollment, but I will bring to your attention that it starts to level off. That the decline is not as steep as was anticipated only So let me just crunch numbers statistically, which don't really pan out to be the true reality, but let's just say statistically. This is a 5-year enrollment. So realize that we're still housing full schools of students. We don't actually have empty wings or almost empty schools. That if you take 273 student decline, as I said, it's spread out across 8. And that's about 34 students per school. Now it doesn't actually lay out that way, but statistically, if you could keep that in mind, while 273 sounds like an entire school, when you spread it out, the impact on 8 is very different. So let me just call to your attention another statistic that is not discussed publicly in Milford. Yes, we have a decline of enrollment in Milford, but let me challenge our dialogue to include the age and use of our buildings. The age range of our buildings at all 14 schools go from built in 1950 to 1973. I won't ask you when you were born here in this room, but some of you may realize what life was like in one of these years when you were born. Imagine a school building that was built in 1950. Could they have ever imagined what life is like today in 2020 when they were building the building? Could anyone in 1950 have said that every child's going to walk around with their own computer? That would have never been predicted. Let me propose that education could not have been predicted in the utilization for these spaces either. But it's a pretty large one. Let me remind you, buildings built in these years likely, most definitely, did not keep this kind of education in mind. So what does that mean and look like in Milford Public Schools? Well, this is actually a layout of JFK Elementary School, one of our quote-unquote medium-sized schools. This is the prediction of space utilization for next year. I work with Mr. Brennan, and the green classrooms are pre-K through 5 classrooms. He's going to have 21 of those. Specials are purple, so for example, PE, science, library, art, and music. Other instructional spaces, including OT, PT, band, strings, intervention, are in brown. And then the yellowish green are other spaces like the office, the kitchen, the cafeteria, conference rooms, storage. I want to bring your attention to the white spaces on this map. Do you see them? They are hallways and the courtyard, outdoor courtyard. There is no room at JFK next year for additional classrooms. And I could put up a map of Pumpkin. I could put up a map of Orange Avenue. I had the same conversation with Mr. Apicella this week. He's worried that if he goes over in numbers, where he's going to put these students. I could have the same conversation of Live Oaks. So large or small, there are no empty wings of classrooms in our elementary schools. In fact, as the instructional leader of Milford Public Schools, I cannot in good conscience recommend to my board that we close any schools because of space utilization and the age of our buildings. It's not just an enrollment dialogue. It's much greater than a decline in enrollment for Milford. So let me show you, if you haven't been in one of our schools lately, what this looks like. These are some examples from, I don't know what specific schools they are, but these are examples of how spaces that used to be classrooms, that are full-size classrooms, are being used now for things like world language reading and English language. You notice that we use dividers, we have small tables, we have stand-up boards. We are splitting space for instruction for multiple uses. So while this may not house 20 students all day with a 3rd grade teacher, there are students in small group or one-on-one in and out of these rooms receiving educational services. Services likely that were not imagined in 1950 when they were built. I propose that if we close schools, we will have to talk about R in a cart, OT, PT, and speech in the hallway, using closets for services, and that's not an exceptional education, Ms. Glennon. I cannot recommend that that would be the way to go for our facilities. Here is a picture of an OT, PT room. I guarantee that nobody in the 50s was imagining we would need these types of specific services for students. So most schools did not have an OTPT room. We've had to take a classroom and convert it into an OTPT room. And here are some intervention services for students in reading and mathematics, and then some students that receive special services. So you'll see a teacher here working with small group. It's divided. There's another group here where teachers work with, and then here where you can't see is another group, and then in the other corner, another group. Again, a full-size classroom that is divided so that we can use it for these services that we didn't imagine a long time ago. But let me tell you that there's more to the story from the long-range plan days back in 2015, actually. Remember the survey I said was administered to parents? We had around 1,000 responses, so please know it wasn't just 50 parents who were very engaged. 1,000 people, around 1,000 people responded to the survey. And I want to bring your attention to this question. How would you rate Milford Public Schools overall in 2014? Now, if we were to administer this question again, my goal would be to improve the results. Because if you take a look at it, only 46.4% thought that academically we were average. 32% thought we were above, and 7% we thought we were excellent. That number needs to be much higher. So about 50% of our community felt like we were average in academics, facilities, athletics, and programming. I'm pretty sure no one's going to run on a platform for politics saying, I want an average school district, elect me. But yet our community thought in 2014 we were average. So while this number feels bigger, because it is, I'm proposing that based on some feedback, not only in 2014, but currently in my first 18 months, particularly my entry plan months, 6 months, I've received feedback similar to some of these other quotes. So what changes would most improve the Milford Public Schools? We have academic programming desired back in 2014. People enumerating, we want languages in the elementary schools. We want to improve gifted. We want STEM and STEAM. We want more creative academic programming. We want to challenge all of our kids. We want to emphasize improvement, improve music and art. In 2014, people were not asking for closing of schools, and I have not heard that today either. I'm hearing this. I'm also hearing let's be more consistent and stop changing all the time is something that came through in this survey as well in 2014. And then as far as performance, people were asking for less testing and setting high expectations for all of our students and improving accountability for teachers, students, and leaders. That is what this budget is based on. This budget represents a response to work that was done a few years ago, a response recently of feedback I received from the public, and a belief that we need to turn our attention to improving teaching and learning in Milford Public Schools and not be distracted by are we going to close a school because of declining enrollment. Because I propose facility-wise, we can't. So, to continue with the 2021 budget presentation, I will call your attention to Roman numeral pages 4 and 5. I will not enumerate those budget priorities and assumptions that the Board of Ed approved back in October, but please know that that is the foundation of how we as an administrative group build our budget. We propose our priorities and assumptions to the board, they approve them, and then we start building on that scaffold. But you have a lot to be proud of. We have a lot to be proud of. So this presentation very quickly includes some of our celebrations. We have a very high graduation rate, including students that go to 2- and 4-year colleges. We're more and more focusing on what career paths they're on. We have a very high record of AP scholars, So if you will, in business terms, this is a little bit of a return on investment. The investment of $95 million is yielding high-level academic scores for our young people. We've invested in high-quality instruction. Mr. Moulton asked, I handed out the book upon which we are going to have a book talk to each one of our Board of Finance members. Invite you to April 2nd. Mr. Mayor, yours is in your office. I dropped it off today. So to dialogue around what could school be? Well, high-quality instruction is directly related to reimagining the student experience in our classroom. So we are not only started that work last year, but ramping up that work in the future. We have officially gone grades 3 through 12, 1-to-1 on the Chromebook. It's a big, big accomplishment in a very short period of time. We are continuing to improve our fitness rooms, focusing on wellness, the whole being of the child. We have officially started, yay, Milford, with a K-1 world language program, specifically Spanish. This budget proposal includes pre-K through 2 and ramping up year after year. We are also improving our communications. We officially have the MPS app. Download it tonight before you leave. We have IT in the room to help. And a digital backpack to streamline all communication so all stakeholders can have access to all of our communication on our website. We continue our internship program. Actually talked to the Chamber about this today, about how can we continue to grow the internship program beyond our senior year. We have started a Flex Furniture Initiative. I invite anyone who's interested in that to tour our schools. If you'd like to come see, I'll personally take you on that tour. It's much more in alignment with how our students learn today. The budget proposes to continue that. We've taken on 109 facility projects. Remember I said how old they are? Well, it takes a lot of upkeep. So thank you for the investment in our facilities to upkeep them. And we do transport 3,900 students. The transportation budget is a very large part of this, but please know that 3,900 students on a daily basis are transported. So as Ms. Glennon mentioned, this proposes to increase our budget by 3.109% actually. And this is just a frame upon which our administration uses on how to know when to sunset and fix some programming and when to increase. So I will say that typically a community likes very high impact programming with low cost. We want the best for our kids, but we don't want it to cost anything more. So I will say that we have been able to find some things that we're going to sunset through our efficiencies. We have found great things that don't cost a lot, but yield a great return. But you'll see in the form of a science lab this evening in this proposal, it's a high impact but high cost. So I have recently had a conversation with a community member, and they said, you know, Dr. Kutaya, we're actually a slow and steady community. We sort of like things to be consistent. We kind of plow through. It's little by little, easy peasy. So you know, we are proud of our school system. We're proud of our community. And there have been great investments in our school system, as exemplified by our budget. But I want to just, without going into the sheer numbers, want to present to you some of our results over the last few years. So these are some of our results in AP. So you'll see that they're pretty constant, right? And here's some more AP results. They're pretty consistent as well. So level 3, level 4. And here's some SAT math scores. So A+ for consistency, right? And here's more SAT English Language Arts scores. And here is SBA, the state test. So there's some variation. In fact, one could say we're declining a little bit. Here's ELA and SBA as well. So, you know, a little up and down, but pretty, I don't know, pretty flat, right? And that's over the last 3-5 years. So what's funny is when you start talking about progress, people want to progress along, but they're really anti-change sometimes. So I would propose that we really have to do something differently, have to reinvest in teaching and learning. And as I shared with the board in my presentation to them, actually the areas that have been declining the most in our budget our 6,000 and 7,000 series, which are all about student and teacher supports. And yet our scores are consistent, but one can call them flat too. And if we want more for our kids, if we want an exceptional school district, then I propose through this budget, starting with this budget, that we reinvest, yes, at a greater rate for our students. So this budget proposes an acceleration of high-quality instruction. This is a week academy in the summer where we bring teachers in and they view live teaching, and then they have opportunities to debrief it, and then throughout the year we continue that professional learning. And it's really about being student-centered and providing students with agency and opportunities to inquire and create around content, and developing a knowledge economy for, by the way, kindergartners today will graduate from high school in the year 2033. So we believe that this type of instruction is better aligned with jobs that they will have, well, actually they'll go to college, I think, in 2033. So jobs they'll have later, around 2040. This proposal also suggests that we have different class guidelines. It is my belief that grades 3 through 5 should be not a max of 25, but 23. 25 really is, I think, too large for the demands on teachers and students today in grades 3 through 5. So you'll see that represented in the budget. As I mentioned, the expansion of world language. We want to infuse more play-based experiences and flexible furniture in pre-KK, because we know that that's developmentally more appropriate for students. I think we've swung too far to the other side in academics for our little people. So we want learning through play. So it's not, we're all going to be learning, but it's going to be better in alignment with how they learn. And then opening up library access in the summer to 3 of our schools, our populations that have a better need for that. Like I mentioned, we will have an elementary science lab, really exciting, staffed by a teacher, fully resourced science lab, where kids, I hope this is the only stock picture I have included in this presentation. Next year I'm going to put a picture of our own kids, having even greater fun and experimentation than that. And it is the year of science next year. We're going to rewrite the whole curriculum pre-K through 12. And so we are going to make some improvements at the high school as necessary as well in those areas. We will continue our social and emotional learning. We've done a lot of work in this. We continue to need to do a lot of work because families and students are in need. They're in crisis in many cases. But foundationally, we want to provide students with a healthy social and emotional base. And the Wingman program is an extension of that, coming out of the tragedy at Sandy Hook. We're working with one of the families there to empower our students. So now the teachers got training, and now we're going to bring training in for kids through the Wingman program. And we are piloting this year. Technology improvements all across the board. I won't read them for you one by one, but know that at the elementary, middle, and high school, we are improving all areas, particularly as related to the curriculum this year. District-wide, we are going to ensure that all art and music rooms have an interactive board such as this. We found that those rooms kind of fell short in the process of getting them out into classrooms. And as you probably have already heard, that we are making a shift to support in technology from a media aid position to a technology integration support specialist, yielding some savings, but more importantly, providing the necessary supports in all of our schools, so going from 15 support staff to 8. And re-envisioning that position completely to better support our kids based on the technology that's in their hands today. Some other improvements include the climbing wall. We're going to start likely an 8-year process on replacing them, installing or revamping the cardio room at East Shore, and revisiting the fitness rooms at Foreign and East Shore. Please know that this brings those schools up to standard with where Law and the other 2 middle schools are. There will be some additional work at Foreign and Law in the subsequent years, but those are in the cardio rooms, not necessarily fitness. Continue to invest in our music program, instruments, uniforms, furniture. We're writing all this curriculum next year. Dr. Fettigan and her team have rebooted the curriculum writing process. In plain layman terms, curriculum means that this will better guarantee access to the same content, on what students should know and be able to do across all, let's say, 4th grade classrooms in the district. With a well-written, guaranteed curriculum, that is better consistent across 8 schools than when you don't have one. So Dr. Fettigan and her team are going to reboot all of these areas. We are engaging in a 7-year cycle, so each year you will see this list change. So curriculum writing will happen every year in Milford Public Schools. The content areas will change. We are proposing to add a community connection center, where one we have started at Pumpkin. We're hoping to add one on the east side of town. So we'll have one on the west side, one on the east side, and one centrally is the Family Resource Center. We're finding that families more and more need to be connected with resources in the community, and that's not happening as much as possible. So we believe doing this geographically is a better strategy for our families. We're also proposing some system improvements in these areas at the academy, installing a makerspace. We are going to reboot our school counseling department by just revisiting roles, responsibilities, and upgrading some of how they interact with students and provide services. And we are going to refresh the library and student support center. These are primarily function and furniture pieces. We redid the library at law, and now we're going to go into foreign and do their library. And then, for lack of better terms, we've been calling it the Zen Den, but we're looking for a social emotional wellness space for kids who need a little bit of that space during the school day. And that's going to happen at foreign next year. We're also bringing in some data systems to make life more productive for our employees by integrating some systems, and you'll see that in the budget. So these are the areas of savings. We did look for efficiencies. We were able to find efficiencies in the amount of $468,417. You'll see that in the reduction of staff, but also some of our utilities and contracted services. This is how the budget breaks down. So please remember that we are a human services, primarily human services driven budget. So about 78% of our budget is in human capital. The rest, about 22%, is in operating costs. This is a breakdown of it by object, and I'm sure we will go into it in greater detail, and the pluses and minuses between the 2 years. This chart solely represents the breakdown of the 3.109. So this represents the whole budget. This represents just the 3.109. I will bring your attention to salary is contractual obligations primarily, and some of the healthcare issues that we came across with the retirees is a big bump up found in the benefits line. So all of our work here that is proposed in this budget really circles around the vision of the learner, high quality instruction, and the way we prioritize relationships, which is probably a presentation for another day for the Board of Finance, because I know this is about numbers. But please know that those 3 anchors in our school district help us make decisions in all aspects of our organization, especially our budget. And that's what we kept in mind to keep it consistent. So thank you for allowing me to talk to you about the big priorities. And I know, Mr. Chair, we'd like to talk about the details now too. So that creates a backdrop.
It certainly did, and I appreciate it. It was very helpful and very informative. Yes, I think
Thank you.
certainly this is very helpful. Thank you. Before we turn, I did have one quick question. It's probably in the answers. The answer is always in the book, but the transportation increase is the 211,000. Is there a particular driver of that increase?
Yes, there's a couple. One is the 3% contractual increase across the board. The second is we had to add a bus this year. It's just sometimes just the way that the routes come out. We've dropped over the course of 6 years. We've dropped 8 buses. But this past year we had to add a bus just because of the way that the routes go. And we're consistently looking with Durham to cut routes, but sometimes you just can't. So we had to add one bus, and then the last is the special education transportation, also Lowe's Milford area. So those are the three reasons.
Why did special education go?
That's specific to the students themselves. So we look at what students we know that we're going to have and what transportation needs they're going to have. And then we try and factor in those that will drop off and anticipate some that may come in. So, and transportation costs go up every year. It's just-
What was the 3%?
3% is the contractual increase.
Contractual.
Yes.
I am going to run through the book, but if any members have a question in response to the presentation or just a general question, then please feel free to ask at this time.
Which way are you going? What are we doing?
Well, we're going to start, I know we're creatures of habit, and
Yeah.
it doesn't work quite the same way with the Board of Education budget that it does with
Yeah.
the city-side budget, but I think it is helpful to sort of focus on particular areas and spur some discussion by going through the book. But I think last year we went through it relatively quickly and painlessly.
Is that what you remember?
For us, anyway.
I don't remember that.
It's all a matter of perspective, I suppose.
Well, depends what side of the table you're on, Mr. Lima.
We have the executive summary, and I think the Roman numeral pages, I think were covered pretty well in the presentation.
If I could, on Roman numeral number 8,
Yes,
those
Yeah.
are the numbers.
Yeah.
And then, so Roman numeral 8 is the big picture.
Yeah.
Then it's broken down from Roman numeral
9,
9 through
13.
13. That's the middle view. And then all of the rest of the detail in the budget is everything else extrapolated out. But the main numbers are right in the executive summary.
thank you, Joe. Well, why don't we can get in a little bit more detail as we go, but it might be helpful to start on the particular pages, 8 and 9.
Are these all contractual? All these salaries contractual? All union or representative?
No, we have approximately 56 non-union employees throughout the district, but all the rest are union employees.
No, the administrative area, that is, how do you determine salaries for that?
There's an administrators union.
That's what I'm saying, they have representatives.
Correct.
Uh,
The question, on the non-certified salaries, 1129, big bump.
Yes.
Why?
Sure. The big bump there in 1129 is, we took two behaviorists from the teachers line, the special education teachers line, where you see, if you look at the special education teachers line, it went down 216,000. And we transferred two of those positions to the 1129 line. They're behaviorists, and the reason is, and Carol can jump in, but finding a certified teacher who also is a certified behaviorist is very difficult to do. So they were all three of them, all three behaviorists were up in the, originally in the special education teachers line, but two of them do not have teacher certifications. So we moved them down to the 1129 behaviorist line. So it's an offset. You see the special education line went down and the 1129 line went up.
Yeah, but it's not quite offset. It's 178 and 298. So
Right.
there's a 120 bump.
Correct, because there are many special education teachers that are in that line item, and there are other positions in the 1129 line items also. So it's not It's not one-to-one, and it's not teacher to teacher.
And that's cool, but, and why the increase? But not like a 3 or even 4% increase, a significant increase. What's driving that?
Well, the $150,000 of it are the behaviorists. It's approximately $150,000. It's two positions at around $75,000 each. Come out of the 1111 certified special education line and get transferred down to the 1129. So that's approximately $150,000. The rest is contractual obligations with the other employees that are listed in those groups.
Okay, so the increase is 298. But if I take out the 150,
68.
268? From 5378 to 710? Special ed,
1129. Special ed OTPT behaviors,
yeah.
268875.
I'm going, because of the differential. I went off of the 710 versus, okay. So you went down 26, okay, I got it. So 58,000 is because of contractual increases.
How many of these positions are still open? Behaviorists, we had open and open and open, right?
Yeah, they're not open.
When you look at the site on Facebook or wherever it came up, positions available in Milford school system. Behaviorist was there a number of times, right?
It was for a very long time because
Yeah.
we couldn't fill it because we couldn't find,
They didn't, you're
we
right.
couldn't find the person who had the dual
Is this
certification.
position worth it?
Yes,
Why?
because they're able to help us support students with significant behavioral and emotional needs to create behavior
How many
plans for them.
schools have behaviorists in this state?
So all of the school districts have them
That
now.
wasn't when it first came up, it wasn't, so. Are they all now having it?
All school
Yeah.
districts probably have
Right,
BCBA.
so behaviors are shared across schools, there's not one at each school.
Right.
So these are people who
Travel back and forth.
travel between schools to provide supports for students with special needs, particularly in the area of behavior.
Now, why are we using somebody that's not certified?
They're not certified as a teacher, but they're certified as a BCBA, which is a board certified behavior analyst. They get that?
Yes.
Now, what is their background in education? Are they teaching background teaching?
They're master's level employees. They
From
have
what?
bachelor's and master's in behavior. They specialize in behavior.
What was the undergrad for these people? Usually,
Very.
you know,
It's like school psychology and social workers. They don't have teaching degrees, but
Really?
they have specialty areas in
right.
psychology.
This is a brand-new course at the UConn, from what I understand, about 5 years ago, right? Behaviorist.
It's been around for quite a while. We've had behaviors in district for many years now, but we've
How many
grown.
years? I remember this coming up for the first time.
We've-
And I've been around that long.
Did we add about 3 or 4 positions?
Yeah.
Not behaviorists.
Not behaviors?
Yes.
We have a total of 4 right now, and we've fluctuated. We've had, I think back in 2010, we probably had 3. We've had to hire through agencies before, so it didn't show up so much on these line items, and then we were able to hire our own once we were able to hire BCBAs that were not also certified as teachers. So yeah, we're up to 4 now, and they have very full caseloads.
It's less expensive to have our own on staff than to go to a consultant group.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. But how is the salaries determined? Where do you get the salary figures for these people?
We try to be competitive with other
Ah.
districts, but
So we compare districts. Why?
because they're hard to get.
They're hard to get, and we've had BCBAs get to the final stages of our interview process and find out how much they make in Milford and say, no, thank you.
How much are we off?
I think it varies district to district, but we have a range. I think it's in the 70,
It's around 75,000.
75,000.
Around
give or
75,000.
take.
Who are we comparing to, Westport or to West Haven?
So I've recently attended a superintendent regional meeting that does not go any further west than Stratford and goes as far east as New Haven and as far north as Meriden. So that's the regional superintendent group that I belong to. So that is not Fairfield County. And superintendent after superintendent was lamenting that they were unable to find enough available BCBA, qualified BCBAs for their districts. And we're also comparing salaries, sharing stories that they were leaving us for more private companies who then we would have to go on contract with and pay more money because they're paying their BCBAs a lot more than we are. So no, we're not comparing to Fairfield County. We feel like we are a little behind on being competitive in our salary because we do lose people in the interview process. And this is the most efficient way to provide support to our students with behavior, so.
Okay, thank you.
A couple of lines down,
Yeah.
the business other ops, the 332. Why is that such an increase?
So that is, if you look at up above, line 1124, the media aids, you'll see this is where we reduced 15 media aid positions, and the increase in the line you're referring to, 1129 IT maintenance, that's the increase in the 8. Yes, that's the 8 new positions that we envisioned.
Again, these are non-certified.
Correct. And media aids are also not certified.
This is the thing, I was very upset when I got this thing on my email. This is something I think we should have had much before this meeting.
Well, that's fine, at this stage,
Yeah.
I apologize. for
Yeah,
that.
that shouldn't,
I had it a week
Okay,
ago.
now we put, how many people under this 11, the other, what is other ops? Operations, what is OPS?
Other operations.
Okay, maintenance, business office, just IT. Okay, so the 332,000, what is that comprised of? What people, how many people?
So we have reduced 15 media aids.
Right,
So if you will go to line 1124,
I got that,
you'll see that zeroed out.
right.
So we reduced 15, revisited the technology and student and staff needs, and have eliminated a position and created a new position, and now we're proposing 8 IT positions, so integrated technology specialists. We believe by sharing 8 across the district instead of having 1 at each elementary, middle, and 2 at each high, it's a much more efficient way to provide supports based on the technologies that we have in our system now.
How many students we talk about the whole system? I didn't even look at.
5,700?
How much?
5,700?
57. Now, 5,700 kids have Chromebooks?
No.
How many?
Grades 3 through 12 have Chromebooks.
Just 3 to 12. And these are what these
And
media aids used to work with,
Pre-K
right?
through 2
Yeah,
have other technologies in there. So the Chromebook is not the only technology in the system. That is only one. There, as you can imagine, Mr. Fitzpatrick, that there's been an explosion in technology. So
Right.
these boards, whether they're black or white, exist in almost every classroom. We have other devices, specialized devices for students. We have now VR helmets where kids can through virtual reality experience a whole load of things. Chromebooks, we have laptops, we have desktops, we have document cameras. I mean, the list goes on and on. So PK through 12, there are technologies. The one-to-one Chromebook grades 3 through 12 is just one example.
so what do the media aids do that we got rid of them? What did they do?
The media aids job description was revisited, so they primarily provided supports in the library with some student book checkout, assistance to library media specialist. They took care of some technology needs in the district, in the school as well. So it modeled something that was came out of the nucleus of the library. The integrated technology specialist, we believe, can provide supports for the technologies for students and staff in a shared manner,
What about
and
the
not
library?
necessarily directly
Who's gonna do the
have.
library work?
Well, we have a certified teacher in the library. The media aid was not the certified teacher,
No, right.
right?
No, so that just that one certified person is just gonna handle what the media aids did and everything?
No, the we have a staff members looking at what is happening in the library and how we could develop some efficiencies there, and actually some student agency. So the checking out of books will be revisited. We have some technologies that can help with that. So we will revisit.
Technology, it doesn't talk to the kids. Is that what the human being was the media aid? Now we're gonna have technology or robots, or what are we gonna have talking to these kids?
No, we have a certified teacher talking to
Just
kids.
one?
Right,
One.
but the media aid was not in the library full-time. So
Where was the other one? Oh,
we would be providing some supports in the school.
Now you're gonna have 8 people do the work of these 15? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and I think it will happen, absolutely. I stand on that. The way technology works today, you don't actually have to be in the building to provide support.
Kid has a problem with the Chromebook, or has a problem with any the technical stuff. You're gonna have that one person take care of them all.
No, Mr. Fitzpatrick, we'll have 1 at each high school,
Right.
2 shared across 3 middle schools,
Right.
and 4 shared across 8 elementary, and we'll geographically place them. We have a new app that's going in place where a teacher can simply click on the app, and the integrated technology specialist will get an immediate notification that there's a need. There is an IT department that will facilitate the needs and deploy people as needed. An advantage to this is that if there's a big problem at a school, 2 things can happen. One, someone with a specialized background, let's say with a ViewSonic, can actually be deployed to that school and fix the problem more readily than someone who doesn't have the same skill set or knowledge. And 2, if there's a
You
big...
said they didn't have the skill set or the knowledge of people that were in there doing it?
I did not say that.
Well, what do you say?
I said that if that person did not have the skill set or knowledge to fix a ViewSonic, we could deploy someone else who could. So someone who's flexible and mobile could help at multiple schools, not just within the 4 walls of
I
that
think
school.
I'm gonna have a problem with that, the reduction of media aids. For some reason or other, I don't believe in technology taking care of people.
That's absolutely not what I'm proposing. I am proposing that we are going to continue to have people take care of people. We just need fewer of them.
Kids are kids.
But we still have people
You know, they're
working
not
with
adults.
kids.
Kids are kids. They were always demanding.
Mr. Fitzpatrick,
No, I
I was in
raised
a
3
school
girls.
just the other day.
Yeah,
There was a problem with a Chromebook. The
yeah.
teacher was helping another student. You know who was helping the other kids with Chromebooks? Other kids.
Other kids, yeah.
Yep. Our kids are much more proficient with technology than we give them credit.
Other teachers, yeah.
So please, I want to go on record, Mr. Fitzpatrick. I am not proposing that computers take place of people.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah, you
not
got it.
my proposal.
We'll note it for the record, thank you.
Yeah.
The question, you mentioned salaries, are you currently in any negotiations with?
We just completed 3 rounds with the security guards, custodians, and secretaries. We're currently open with food service, but very close to settling, and paraprofessionals. And then we have a year off, thankfully.
So the figures that are contained in here are, you're comfortable with the assumptions?
Yeah.
I do have one quick question about the other ops or whatever. If a child has a problem, they go to the teacher, like their teacher, and the teacher will either deal with it or put in the request. Have you figured out that?
So, you know, part of education is to help kids help themselves.
Yeah.
So whether it's academics, technology, social problems, right? When your own children said, Mom, Dad, we're arguing, you say, go figure it out first,
Mhm.
right? So we're trying to develop a sense of agency and independence in our young people. So first we want them to tool themselves with the ability to problem solve,
Yeah.
whether it's technology or not. Help one another, and then there's a teacher in the classroom that can help as well. So yes, that would be the chain of command, if you will, on getting help.
So that's how they would reach out for this, possibly even the floater.
We can go back if anyone likes, but I'm going to move on to pages Roman numerals 10 and 11.
What happened to Blue Cross Blue Shield, James?
That's the number that we got from it. Actually, we got a much higher number from Anthem Blue Cross. We talked with the, with our current city health insurance consultant. We dug into the numbers a little bit, and they came back with a number that was a little bit better. It's still extremely high.
A big jump. What is a jump?
It's a big jump, and
It's 11% jump.
it's based upon
Is that the
actual.
premiums went up?
It is.
What about
Tonight, it was very helpful, and I appreciate the presentation.
So if you have additional questions on between now and your official vote, we
Yeah.
invite you to send them to us via email. Okay?
And I'll try to get the answers to the questions that we couldn't answer tonight. I'll try to get them to you by email.
This is your last budget.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, it's streamed live and if you're missing us next year.
Yeah, that's right.
Are we getting the girls team together?
The girls team of what?
We already have one.
Are they still
They co-op,
involved?
they're co-op.
Notre Dame. It's retarees only, don't forget.
Yeah, right.
It's not. And bear in mind that, and this is a good thing, people are living a lot longer, so there are more retirees each year that are on our rolls. So the number does continue to rise, and it's based upon actual experience that the insurance company has. And then we vetted them through our consultant, and we'll continue to try and shave dollar amounts off that. But we've also checked with other districts throughout the state, and that's not, it's not an outlier.
Is this up to bid every year?
It's not, we were with Anthem Blue Cross. The city did an RFP several years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. And we're in the city's health insurance plan, including for the retirees.
Okay, where's our benefits for the employees? Where's that figure?
That's in the city budget. Health insurance for active
that's
employees
right, yeah.
is in the city budget.
Right.
Did that go up that high?
It went up significantly.
Huh? It did?
Our health insurance went up. And again, we're self-insured
Right,
up to the first $100,000 per person.
right.
And it's based on experience, and it's based on the projections that the actuaries and the healthcare consultants come up with. But our costs for healthcare went up significantly this year.
I can't
Projected
remember,
to.
roughly, do you know? 1%?
Approximately, overall, sitting in Board of Ed, about 2.5 million, Peter?
Yes.
What percentage?
It's over 5%.
Right, and this is 11, that's what I'm talking about. It doesn't jive. I mean, I understand old farts like this, you know, it costs more.
Yeah, but this is, it's a little bit different.
Actually, well over 5%, but actually probably closer to, Peter, so 2.5 million, and we spend about $45 million overall, so,
Yeah,
yeah, that's closer to 10%.
yeah, okay.
And don't forget, the city insurance fund is self-insured.
Right.
For retirees, the city and Board of Ed are premium with Anthem, so it's based upon actual experience and the premium that they're going to charge us.
And these are supplemented early, aren't they?
I'm sorry?
Because Medicare comes in first
Yes.
with 90% of them.
Correct. Our employees, until they reach the age of 65. When they reach the age of 65, they're required to go into Medicare.
Right.
And then this is supplement on top of that.
It's awful high. I worked in that industry. That's why we got out of it, too. Okay, I'm done in that area, I believe.
Question about security services, 3305.
Yes.
What is that?
The security services, the vast majority of that line is just the upkeep of all of our security systems. So it's the regular licenses, the maintenance agreements and things like that, all of our electronic access, for all of our surveillance cameras and things like that. There are slight enhancements in that security line. And off the top of my head, I don't remember exactly what they are, but we could get that for you.
I mean, are you fully deployed in terms of coverage for cameras and all that other stuff? So this is kind of just a maintenance increase? That, you know,
That's
services charge you more?
That's a part of it. We will get you a breakdown of the difference there.
Now, a number of the schools have solar panels at this point. How does that play into the electricity budget? Does it reduce our cost, and do we have the opportunity to actually get paid for excess power? Or how does that system?
No, the way it works is, it's actually, the program that we're in is the solar company actually leases the roofs. And then whatever energy is generated in those solar panels, we purchase from. Correct. And we purchase it from the solar provider at a reduced rate from what we're paying through Constellation and UMI. So it's not a drastic savings. It's portions of pennies really per kilowatt. But overall, we're going to save money, and of course, it's the ecologically correct thing to do. And we figured approximately a 5%. All of our systems have come online at different points throughout the past year and a half. So we don't have a full year of experience on the entire system being up and running. West Shore Middle School is our last one to go up, and that only went up in November. So until we get a full cycle, it's difficult to tell you exactly what we're saving system-wide. But we're factoring about 5% in reduction in energy costs.
I see that, and thank you, Jim. And Energy Conservation Services, was that the position that, or the contract that we had with that group?
No, well, it was formerly.
Right.
When we were still in contract with them, that number was around $250,000
Right.
a year. For the past several years, the board and the city has supported an additional amount of money put in that account for infrastructure improvements,
Okay.
things like LED lighting.
Right.
And this year, we just felt with what we were asking for overall, that we would work off of what we've already been granted, and just take a year off from that. So that's why we've reduced it this year. Yes.
And why fuel oil is there? Like you're off of fuel oil?
Excellent question. There are two schools that have dual fuel capability right now, but over the last decade, we've rarely used it at all. And the long-range projection of oil versus natural gas, the bottom line is we're removing the tanks. They're 30 years old. It was actually in the capital improvement plan that, and the bond authorizations that you approved, that will be removing the tanks from law and form because they could become a liability.
They're in the ground?
They are. And so they'll be removed altogether. So we'll be out of the oil business.
Thank you.
Which,
For you, okay. Contracted maintenance, Jim, there was a jump of 26%. What area was the big jump in? That's all the fire, see it says.
Yes, that is, Dr. Kutaya talked about system improvements, and we're going to a new platform where we're consistent with all of our office systems, from really starting with HR, the application process, all the way through everything that an employee does throughout the way. So we're going with a new platform called Frontline that ties in all of our systems. Right now we have one system for HR, we have one system for payroll, we have one financial system, and we're trying to tie all of those together. And in the long run, there will be efficiencies, we believe, but this is the initial upfront cost of getting it.
What's the name of it?
Frontline education.
How much is that coming out to?
That's, hold on 1 second. There are, there's more than that, just that, but that's the.
Yeah, right,
That's
that's
the
the big one.
Yeah. Hang on.
That's not payroll involved, is it?
Portions of
Yeah.
payroll. absence management and things like that. It's not the,
Basic.
right. If you keep going, I'll get back to you on this, on the question. Okay. It may take me a while.
We'll keep going, Roman numeral 12 and 13, again, we can go back.
Yeah.
Which is
Field trips, big jump. Lot.
Page
106.
Yes.
No, I don't, what's that, 12,000 include?
playing more hockey games out of town.
That's okay.
What's it? It's a big jump,
Yeah,
percentage-wise, but.
it is. The 5106 account is,
Going back to Washington for a couple of days.
No, we're not doing that. I didn't even say those words. We can get back to you on that, Mr. Arnold.
Gasoline for buses, why they drop?
I'm sorry. man.
Gasoline for, what's,
Oh,
why did?
5107?
Yeah, good question. The, we were operating under, we had 1 year where buses, first of all, I should say, we lock in with the city's fuel price. So we bulk with the diesel and gasoline that the city buys, and we lock in once a year. The price 2 years ago was very high, and now the prices have come down. So it's just based upon the locked-in price.
I know you touched upon it with the presentation, but the flexible furniture and fixtures, and that seems to be one of the bigger increases. Page 13, Roman numeral 13, 7340. Can you just give us a little bit more insight? I see it's for, is it just for kindergarten rooms or are there other platforms involved?
No, so, we are in the process of building a large system-wide plan. But the pieces that are included right now, and so let me tell you what we're doing this year, so that tees up next year. So this year we decided to pilot 2 classrooms in each middle school. So if you follow Twitter, you'll see lots of pictures being posted on that. So we have 2 rooms in each middle school. We have transformed the library to a learning commons at law, and we're proposing to do the foreign library. That's part of this number. In fact, foreign's library is going to be done in probably 2 or 3 phases because their library is much larger than law. And this also includes piloting 1 classroom in each elementary school and kindergarten. So at the elementary level, we'll start with K because we want to revisit the developmental appropriateness of play. So revisiting the centers, the furniture, and play in kindergarten. At the middle, we'll continue that pilot with the classrooms we already have, and we'll not add to that. And then at the high school next year, we'll go to foreign, and transform their libraries with learning commons. By the fall of next year, I've committed to the board that we would come to them with a big system-wide plan on what this potentially could do, because it will be a very heavy lift for our system to get to every classroom. But we also want to see what the results are from our young people, and so far it is rave reviews as far as their learning style and how our classrooms are set up today. So that line item includes kindergarten and some of foreign's library.
Well, the mayor probably doesn't want to hear this, but it seems to be a multi-year capital investment. Is that something that has been considered for bonding? Or something that may be considered for bonding?
Happy to talk to the mayor about that.
That's I know we're trying to cut our bonding down over the next couple of years, but
Yeah.
I think
It
we have
seems
to
to
take a
be-
look
it
at
seem- it
use
seem-
of life. Sorry.
yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't know what the useful life of these.
Yeah, Yeah, it's not 20 years. Generally, we wouldn't, unless it's part of a bigger expansion of a school.
Right.
Like when we did the
We
West
do
Shore
the
project, or
FA,
the East
yeah.
Shore project, we would put furniture in there. But otherwise, furniture generally is not a 20-year investment.
Good point.
Are we
Go
rolling,
ahead.
are we rolling out more Chromebooks for more grades?
So the plan is that in second grade, we'll have class sets of Chromebooks, but they won't go home. So they'll stay in the classroom. We feel like we don't want them to take those home just yet, but it's a get ready for third grade. And then in kindergarten and first, we are going to try to go to a more touch screen friendly device that will stay in the classroom. Not a one-to-one, just a bank, because we don't envision accessibility to the devices necessary at that point in that way. And then we're going to hold off on preschool because we are having a preschool program review being done right now. And I'm just not sure. My gut's telling me we need to wait to see what technologies we need for 3 and 4-year-olds right now. Maybe just blocks and plastic toys, but in all seriousness, there is technology. It does have a role in that classroom. We just want to wait and see what that looks like. You can all ask them to bring their own device, because I'm sure they have one.
Account 6410 and 6411. What texts are you, or like what curriculums are you looking to adopt? Like are the textbook choices aligned with your rewrite of the curriculum?
So they will be, yes.
So-
That's how it goes, hand in hand. When you rewrite curriculum, you want to then adopt resources. So this will be within the year and then probably lag a year. So we'll write curriculum and the vetting out of resources will occur at the same time. So we'll bake into the budget some opportunities to buy resources to vet out. And then the following year, after we've made an instructive decision, we'll budget for that. And I included in the presentation a number of curricular areas that we are rewriting. So. But not all those areas will get a textbook. And I, fingers crossed, hope that we'll rely less and less on traditional textbook and more with some online opportunity resources. But there is more in the field of education, open resources. So they're free and they're high level, high quality. But that also would get vetted out. So we'll make a decision as we write curriculum and vet out resources, see what's our best fit.
You said they're all free, the resources?
Not all, no. There
You
are
have
more
that
and
in the
more.
budget anywhere?
I'm sorry, what do you
You
mean?
have it, in other words, it's costing for the resources that you're gonna be using.
Right, so that's probably in the textbooks and text adoption and some of those material line items.
Do we have any of that now?
The free resources?
No, not free, actually, paying for the resources now.
We are paying for textbooks, yes, is that what you mean?
Textbooks, no, I'm talking about using the online, they're not all free online, right?
No,
Like is
so,
Power School being paid for, or
yeah, but that's not necessarily an instructional supply for students to access. So, maybe an example, Mr. Fitzpatrick, would be we have online resources for 4th and 5th grade social studies,
Right,
and that is a pay-for resource.
okay. Where
More-
is that located?
Would that be contract service, or,
I'm sorry.
Contracted service for the,
hold on a second.
yeah.
Some is contracted maintenance.
The social studies text that we use in 4th and 5th grade would be like that.
Just the text books themselves.
Yeah, so kids have online access to text.
We would buy, could be under contracted maintenance, it also could be under software.
Yeah. Because that's definitely the part that's gonna blow up. The increase, that's what, if you're getting rid of books, you're gonna be using
Well,
sources such as that.
there is a movement in education right now where they're free online open resources. State of Connecticut is actually one of the leading states in that right now. So we're going to find more and more open source resources.
Right.
I was looking for the word, open source resources.
Uh-huh.
So there's, I think it's a little unpredictable at this point as to which account will blow up.
You know it's not gonna be free. This is going on there, I mean, nothing is free. I was taught that when I was 8 years old, nothing's free. Right now, it's free.
Well, that's why there's a budget in front of you. so-
Yeah, right, exactly. That's why I look at figures. Before I forget, on the Chromebook, somebody has stolen a year, or lost a year, didn't
We are talking about children.
they? Yeah.
So we have, part of the plan that we purchased includes an automatic built-in insurance plan. So I can either repair them in-house or we send them off to the vendor, and there are certain things that are covered under that warranty and for a certain period of time. Then we also ask parents to buy an insurance that goes with it, so that covers it.
Do they have to? I didn't think it would. And how many do?
I think most of our parents do.
That covers stolen?
We don't have a lot of instances of stolen.
I can't believe it.
No, believe it or not, I
Yeah.
talked to,
It's not a cool device, I gotta
I
tell
talked to our
you.
friends in IT.
This is the stuff that gets stolen,
You
right
bring
here.
it to me, look. I'll guarantee you, you'll get $20 a Chromebook.
We've actually had misplaced Chromebooks.
I'm serious.
Yes, that's right.
We've
You
had
can buy a social
misplaced
security card if you want.
So, I'll tell you that, this may surprise you, but our young people are very, very, very responsible. And from my long experience with Chromebooks, there's a certain population, age group of kids that have more difficulty with them, and it's not the age you would think. So our elementary kids are super responsible with them. There's like, they're coveted devices, and they're walking around,
Yeah.
wiping them down. High schoolers, this
I forget it.
is a lesser device than most of the things they carry around in their pockets. So they do use them and they care for them. But we find our middle schoolers are, less engaged with caring for their Chromebook, right? Yeah. So we have purchased special cases for our young people that adds a little extra protection. So surprisingly, I think you would find that they're actually well cared for.
Okay. Before I leave salary areas, when does a teacher have to put in their retirement, get their retirement figures? Do they, on the average, when do they do it? Before the school year is out, right?
No, when they decide to retire and actually put their papers in?
No, just to get their figures first of all.
I don't know that there's,
Because
I
that would
don't know
give
if
you-
there's a deadline.
Okay,
They can
and
do it
then-
anytime,
When do they have to have their papers in for the following year?
no deadline.
So they can come in the September 1st and say, I'm retiring? Are you serious?
They don't, I mean, generally, we
Yeah.
have, at this point, I believe the last figure was 15 have announced their retirements for next year.
Uh-huh.
So typically, they don't. Our average is 18 retirements
That's
per
what you
year.
said,
Yeah. And
Is that in the
we have-
budget?
We have 15.
We
Yes,
use the
we
number
account for
18.
that.
You count the 15 in there for the salaries?
18.
18, yeah. Okay. So what do you put in there? The 18 at a starting salary?
No, we use the figure of $65,000 for retirement, because when somebody retires, they're going out at well above 65,000.
Yeah, right.
But we can bring a teacher in for less, so
Right.
we use that figure of $65,000 as a typical, what the typical teacher would cost the district. That's what we use when we factor it in.
You take off 65,000?
No, they budget six.
We budget $65,000. We don't take off, we factor it in. We look at all of the teachers that we have on our staff.
Yeah.
And we just use the average of $65,000 when we're factoring.
Oh, I
in
get you.
for retirement.
Why is that good? Is that good?
Well, that's, I mean, some teachers are going out far in excess of that, and we
Yeah.
can bring teachers in around, I think starting is around 50, somewhere in that range.
Okay.
Account 811 or 8111.
Yeah, that was my question. Go ahead, Ray.
Is that this Milford's commitment to high quality instructional?
Primarily. But I was bold enough to speak to the Board of Ed, and will speak to all other boards, that I think we need a recommitment to developing the capacity of our educators. And these are the line items that have taken hits in the past. So higher quality instruction will go from 1 to 3 weeks this summer. And because of the curriculum we're writing, we are also committing to allowing teachers time around curriculum and not just delivering it on Wednesday, expecting it to be implemented Thursday. We also have in our district used a practice to provide professional learning primarily in the summer when people were available, not available. So we want to be more consistent so that if we're going to roll out a curriculum for all second graders, that we ensure that we provide all second grade teachers with opportunity for professional learning. So that is represented in this increase as well.
What is that money going for?
To whom?
Yeah.
It varies. So we could pay our own teachers to lead professional learning, and that's what we're doing this year. So we are, last year we hired a couple consultants to lead it on HQI. And so the goal is to hand it over to our own teachers, look internally for our own expertise. So we are currently identifying some teachers who could help lead that this summer. We also contract with places like CES, our regional service center, contract with colleagues who are in the field, who have specifically companies who do training. We may pay, the state will hold workshops. We have professional organizations that hold workshops. So it's a mixture of all of that.
It's not a degree system at all. Degrees are not involved. It's strictly, no college involved, and just your internal
Correct,
teaching.
yes.
And how do you figure the rate of pay for that?
If we're paying a teacher, it's already baked into the contract that we agreed to, negotiated contract. But a place like CES, they just have daily rates, and that's what they offer.
Yeah. It's a lot of money. Okay. We done that?
I think we're done. We did touch upon enrollment, staffing, page 15. We touched upon that. We covered everything. I'm going to move quickly, but if anybody has anything to add, when we move through the budget detail sections, jump in and stop me. Otherwise, I'm going to keep moving. Okay, 1000 series, salaries. Administrators, page 1. 1000 series, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Pages 2 and 3. Four and 5.
Question about the 1118 curriculum work. How does that tie into the account we were just talking about? Is it independent or is it part of?
I would refer to it as hand in glove. So we're writing much more curriculum and therefore have to provide some professional learning around it. So one informs the other. But
So
this
it's
is not-
So it's additive, right?
yeah, right. Not duplicative.
Secretarial, page 5. So there's losing 3 positions or?
We're reducing 3 positions.
3 positions.
One at each high school and one at central office.
custodial. Also non-certified, pages 7 and 8.
What are non-certified supervisors?
Those are listed on,
On page 9, under 1120.
Series, basically pages 11 and 12.
Just for a second. There's the 8 positions, okay, IT, right? Now, where do the behaviors come out of?
Teacher, certified special ed teacher.
You classify them as a certified special ed at that time?
They were special ed and BCBA certified. They came out of the certified line and went into the non-certified line.
Yeah, I'm just looking at that, the reserve. How are we determining that reserve figure?
which one?
That's,
11:30.
That is, that's in reserve for what we anticipate we will settle these contracts that we're not settled yet.
Oh, okay. Well, one for retirements and one for salaries?
Yeah, the retirements account is for severance. So in contracts, particularly the teacher's contract, there are severance packages that are included. That's where 1130 retirements that we pay out of that account, and the 1131 is reserved for not yet completed negotiations.
Right. So would that be the 18 people? 715,000? No. What would that be?
Well, in that retirement account, we take approximately 18 people and figure out what we're gonna pay out for a severance package. for
Right.
them. But their salary is over, and we factor that into the.
But this is their severance time? No. The 18 people?
No,
No, who's
this
this
is
for?
district-wide. This is all employees who retire, whatever they're entitled to by their contract at retirement.
Do you know
It's
how
on
many
this
people
account.
we're talking about here? What you budgeted for?
All union employees have some form of
Right.
severance.
But when you came to this figure, you had to count people, no?
Anticipated, yes.
Yeah. Do you know how many?
Off the top of my head, I don't. It's based upon prior year, what we look at for prior year. If you look at it, there was some fluctuation in 18-19 when we had the spike in the number of retirees.
Right.
In 17-18, the year before, we had less.
Right.
So it depends on the number of people that we anticipate are going to retire. There's a lot of factors that go into it. This is the last year of the teacher's contract. Then we start a new year. So we anticipate that there could be more this year that retire than in a year when the contract is not expired. So next year we would expect probably a lesser number. So it's a number that we look at. We don't know who's going to retire. So we just take what we've used before and try and factor that in. That's the best explanation I can think.
It's 18 people, right? Isn't it? Earlier it's 18 people.
18 teachers.
18 teachers, so.
Right.
So this is.
Right, there's, yeah,
This
there's
is
all
more
other
than-
retirees combined.
Thank you.
Is there now a policy where you can't really accumulate sick days? Or can you accumulate, because going by retirements, right, it's for all the accrued sick days.
Yes.
Is there a policy where you can no longer, like, you either use them or lose them, or can you still accumulate?
It's by contract. Every individual contract has a different provision. I can tell you that we're trying to sunset those provisions. We're trying to bargain them out of the agreements, but they're still in. Some of them are grandfathered, so teachers that are hired or employees that are hired after a certain date would not have a severance package. There's others that can accumulate up to, we'll say, 100 days, and they get payout for half of those days. So it varies by contract and by year of year that the employee was hired.
Is that a goal of all new contracts?
Yes.
Thank you.
It should be, oh, what do we got?
Where are you?
Okay,
Excuse me, 2000 series benefits?
yeah. The defined contribution, what is that? That's not a 401. What is that?
That is a 401 for, that's the paraprofessionals. In their contract, they are not part of the city's, City Milford pension plan, so we offer them a defined contribution plan. It's a 401 plan that they can contribute to, and we match up to a certain amount.
Do we have that for
paras.
the teachers? No, we don't have a defined
No,
401 for them, right?
No, the teachers are in the teacher's retirement board, right? We do not budget at all for teacher retirement.
Do they have
Or
401
for
to the
administrators.
state? They have a 401 to the state, no? They only get a straight pension and that's it?
Straight pension, they can do voluntary programs like 403s and 457s, but those are strictly voluntary.
Individual.
Right.
So these are para. What is Social Security Medicare?
We have to pay Social Security, Medicare.
And the Medicare. Is that both Social Security, the Medicare and the regular Social Security?
Yes.
Oh, it's a slash.
3000 series contracted services, page 13.
Does some still get, what are they, did that go up at all, some teaching? Yeah.
Yes, with this budget, they're currently at $90 a day,
Right.
and we're increasing it to $95 a day, for two reasons. One is to try and be as competitive as we can be, so that we're covering all the classes, but the other is to keep pace with the new minimum wage laws.
Oh, yeah.
1000 series electricity facilities.
We don't look when it goes down.
What's that?
We don't look when it goes down.
Yeah, that's right. So it keeps going down.
Oh, John.
The water sewer, is that just primarily water? You don't pay to the city, do you, for sewer?
I think we do.
I thought you might, but then it seems low, that's a...
Yeah, well, hold on one second.
Peter, do you know whether the Board of Ed paid for sewer commission? Sewer use fee?
Yeah.
Let me see it.
Page 17. It's water and sewer.
City
Just
buildings are charged too. City buildings are charged.
Or all
for sewer,
charged,
so
yeah, so it all-
sewer user fee.
Just seems low, right, for all the buildings.
It's a bargain.
It is.
Huh?
Well, I would think, I'm talking more about the water company, we just give them $3 million a year for hydrants.
Can you do?
It's 19 and 20 building projects. I'm sure it's in here, but your all district maintenance, that was essentially eliminated or moved. It's on page 20, 4304.
It hasn't been there in a few years,
Right, yeah,
making it site-based.
Didn't we have 288?
4304, that's,
I'm
those
sorry, building
projects.
projects, I'm sorry. 4304 building projects. Last year we had 288, 128.
oh, all district, no, I see what you're looking at.
Yeah.
So similar to
right.
the grounds, we made them site-based.
Okay, so it's no,
Right, in the appendix, if you look in the back, there's a breakout of the buildings and grounds projects that are,
right, that's always been there, but I thought that was encompassed with that line item, so. I guess the question is, the 288, was it eliminated, or was it moved to different
yeah,
line
I
items?
think it's a different line.
What?
Because we're allocating it to the school that it's,
That's actually gave you the stuff.
okay.
5,000 serious transportation.
How does special ed work?
Page 23.
It's specific. It's specific to the students that we know that we're gonna have, and then looking at what kind of special needs that they have. It's very specific to the students.
That's the transportation related to the students.
Yeah, right.
So we may have more students that are out, or they're traveling to different places that are further, so like Jim said, it's very specific to the individual students that we have, that we serve each
So
year.
you have a count of these students.
And it can really vary. So for example, you could have a student who has very dangerous behavior and can only ride on a bus by himself with 2 adults and the driver. And they might go to a school that's quite far away, so that would be a very expensive transportation tab. And that could be a student who moves into the district in October that we weren't planning on, so
Yeah.
that's how that can happen.
Good.
People coming to Milford for special ed, are you seeing enrollments up year over year over year, specifically in special ed?
We actually had a lot of students who've been between May and the start of school who have IEPs, a higher amount, more so than usual. Why, I don't know for sure, but it does seem that we do have an attractive programming here for students with disabilities.
Page 24, telecommunications, all districts, what is that? Is that simply landlines and internet, or is it cell phones as well? Is it a little bit of-
There's a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything?
Yeah, any kind of telecommunications. So it's our voice over IP system, it's our internet. Everything is included in that line. Yeah, there's a description, telephone charges, trunk lines, OTS lines, et cetera, et cetera.
You have cell phone? How many?
Um,
Just administrators?
2020, Jeff.
2020.
No, actually, the administrators don't have them. It's primarily the custodial staff, or the maintenance staff, because we use those to communicate with them to go from school to school. It's not a large amount. I'm sorry?
No walkie-talkie?
We don't use walkie-talkies for the maintenance staff. We use the phones because they also use their phones for the work order system. They can enter things into the work order system.
Okay, we're getting our 6,000 series, education supplies.
Well,
Are textbooks just gone from the schools?
No,
How, it just seems like the cost is just so,
where are you?
I'm on page 31. This,
So we, the
is it somewhere
purchase
else?
of textbooks are centrally located, so we do it as a district when we
Okay.
adopt. And then the, what is budgeted there is for replacement primarily.
Okay, so is the text adoptions, is that?
That would be new.
That would be
Yeah,
new
new textbooks.
textbooks.
Took me a long time to get that.
All
New
right.
textbooks adoptions, replacements are textbooks.
Got it. Okay, that seems more.
it's 30,000 more. Why is 30,000?
Where are you?
On page 31.
Yeah, the text adoption's 31. It's 30,000.
We have new curriculum that's being written, and there's an AP course that actually just changed text. So we're required to purchase a new text for that AP course. And
How many students are in the AP courses for that?
in total,
Let's see.
I don't have a number.
They have to be AP
I
now.
know where it's standing.
No,
Yeah.
you have to, but if you're
If
applying
you
for
want to go to
colleges.
college, you need AP.
If you want to go to school in Boston, you gotta be in AP.
I mean, that'd be more than that. You're going to Boston. Watch it. You're not going down south, you're going north. Ah,
Where'd you go to school?
BC.
Not down south, huh?
Not down south, no way. My grandson goes down, he went down there.
Did you cut him out of the family?
Yes.
I thought.
They all go down. Cheaper,
Pretty good girls, he said.
that's for sure.
That's what he said. I said, but they're dumb.
Brought it like
Yeah, but it's not, no. She went down there to upgrade.
that.
Hi.
Um,
What are we doing?
we're working our way through testing, 43.
Why do we get all that software on page 34, all that software? The last 2 years, the last 3 years?
It's actually gone down.
Well, the whole, that's all the grammar schools, I guess, right? Chapter, Meadowside,
Page 34, 6902.
Yeah.
yeah.
The software for the elementary schools is out of central, so it would be all schools.
All.
We pay that centrally.
Okay. And what is it, it's in your budget?
It's here, it's on page 30.
Oh, yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
All right, yep.
And would this be the account where text replacement software might come out of?
Potentially, yes.
But it all went down 100,000, why is that? Especially with computers.
Efficiencies. Efficiencies.
Nah.
But you don't question.
You get paid for
efficiencies.
everything.
You don't question efficiencies.
Yeah, no, when I see something like that, I do.
7,000 series.
So did I hear a good job, you reduced that account?
Yeah, you
Is that what I
did.
heard you say? That's what I thought I heard you say.
Yeah,
Tony's got it.
Good work.
concerned
Heard.
because usually computer software, all through the city budget, this budget, your computers are money, a lot of money, and we get down 100,000. What do we get rid of?
So we took a look at usage rates on some of our software packages.
Yeah,
And just found that some software packages weren't being used as much. And so then we took a look at other resources and we thought there was redundancy, so we're able to scale back in some areas.
now who does that evaluations?
Well, we have
The-
various
the IT
professionals.
person, or who does
Well,
it?
you want teaching and learning eyes on it more than just IT. So we have teachers, coaches, supervisors, so it's multifaceted.
Okay.
Remember that free stuff I was talking about? There
Yeah.
actually is some free stuff out there.
Oh, okay, yeah, right.
Do you have to pay for Khan Academy, or is that free?
Well, it's free,
Free.
And it's actually linked to their college board accounts when the students have college board assessment with PSAT and SAT.
Move to 7,000 series equipment, page 37.
Under 7350, the elementary school, is that your Chromebook going down to the second graders? I don't know, what is that, 224?
The increase in the elementary? Yes. Well, the increase in computers generally is the Chromebooks. We lease our Chromebooks, and we have a 4-year replacement cycle. So previous to this, we had 3 4-year leases. So this year, we're adding a 4th lease. So we'll be on a 4-year continuous cycle of replacement. So it is adding 1 lease this year. That's the increase in the cost.
Equipment 7310, the increase in equipment from 133 to 231, is that related to any particular equipment?
So, I referenced making sure art and music groups have interactive boards. So I think that includes 8 or 9 of them in that account line item. And then we have some specialized equipment that needs replacing our addition for students with special needs. So primarily those.
8,000 series.
Hold on for a second.
Oh, go ahead.
Just for a second. On that whiteboard, you have 4 here, then you got on the 4 here is 8, 9, 12, 20, 20 of them. You interact with whiteboard. One's for elementary science.
So
How is
8
that all determined?
So 8 are going to go into new science labs.
Right.
We did an analysis of which art and music rooms have and have not. And then we're on a regular replacement cycle, so we have, we had technicians walk into every classroom to analyze the age and stage of each interactive whiteboard. And based on that, we have a schedule of replacement. So a little bit of that is new, science labs, and a little bit of that is replacement.
They're 11,000 apiece, is that what you're saying?
No, depending on what features.
Oh, yeah, I see here, yeah.
Between 28 and 38.
Huh?
Between 28 and 38, depending on the features and whether they're on a card or not on a card.
Yeah.
I think you may have mentioned this in the presentation, but the foreign fitness room, is that part of your rule? Is
No, it's just the fitness room. The party room, well, we couldn't do it all in 1 year. So we did Law's fitness room. So we're gonna do Foreign's fitness room, and then we'll put cardio.
All other education support, page 39, 40, 41. Don't usually get into grants. Okay. I didn't just say good luck, get more. The appendix,
Just a second,
Yeah.
39, the all schools professional development, what did that involve? Is this the new,
So, yeah, you and I talked about that. It comes from like CES or
Yeah.
contracted services, individual teachers.
that's all coming up this year, we didn't have it last year, I understand.
So we are exponentially growing it to build the capacity of our teachers, particularly around HQI and the new curriculum.
We're doubling the amount of money.
Yep, exactly.
It's not proven. Have you heard about it?
Oh, it's absolutely proven.
Where,
There's a
you
lot,
used it?
there's a lot of research around building
Yeah,
the
but you
capacity of
haven't
teachers.
used
No, but it's not an it though, Mr. Fitzpatrick. We're
Huh?
not going, it's not an it. We're
Yeah.
building the capacity of teachers to more effectively teach. So it's continuously growing teachers. It's not, we found a program and we're gonna go send teachers to go learn that program. This is all about teaching. And effectively, the 8,000 series equals $1 million out of a $98 million budget. And that is spent on 1,400 people. So the bang for the buck on $1 million to grow 700 certified and 700 non-certified people is much cheaper to do it in-house than to go and send people out to conferences and workshops. And this 8,000 series is one of those categories that have year after year experience cut. It's time to restore some of those monies.
He,
No.
good job.
Not funny.
I know it's not funny. None of the city people like
You know,
it.
you pay for it at some point, you pay more, and you have to go back and redo.
Yeah, before you go, I'd like to, if you could get for us the expenditure summary report you gave to us last year. You remember that one?
I do,
Yeah. Can we get a copy of that for this year?
yes. We do,
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, I will get it for you. We do post those online now. It's a new state law that we do post them online.
Do you need a
I'll be happy to get
Chromebook?
you the-
Second grader is better than me.
Do you need a Chromebook to get it?
I need a computer.
It's $348 if you lose it.
That's all?
They're really inexpensive, yeah.
Yeah, that is. I don't want to pay for insurance.
Well, the appendix, if anybody has, I think that's,
We just,
covered that part information.
yeah. Oh, yes, I do want to.
I know didn't the city mention that we're buying 1,000 trees or something, or any of those going on school properties, or are they just going throughout?
Trees?
Trees.
I don't know if it's 1,000 trees. I think we have 200 trees is the target for this year. The majority are to replace trees along the streets, but if there are areas in our parks and our open spaces, including schools, that are appropriate, then absolutely.
I do have one more question on page 824. On your computer, 7350. You got an item cost of $28,000. What does that entail?
Can you say it one more time?
Okay, page 824, page 24, computers, 7350.
Okay.
They got a list of item costs of $28,000. What does that represent?
Or the leases at the
Yeah.
elementary schools?
That's the cost of the lease appropriated per school.
Of what? Of PCs that are deployed, a server, you know, your what?
Everything that's on lease, all of our computers, primarily now it's the Chromebooks, but if, for
Some desktops,
some desktops, some laptops, but primarily the
Chromebooks.
Chromebooks.
And that's really the most efficient, cheapest way to purchase those, because you refresh them every few years, so.
So
keeps us up to
does
date.
HP support them, or is that all up?
It's the vendor. And that's also an accounting way of doing the lease, because we have to report to the state how much we're allocating per school and computers. So it's really a way for us to more easily account and report. Otherwise, that would be all in just one account.
Just refresh the table. Why the 28,045 versus the 28,000 for the alternate?
I honestly don't know, but I will.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I
You don't
think
need-
it's an even
no,
division
but
problem.
There was
is
one,
all
some,
it
one
is.
of the times I'm gonna get straight, well, I don't really care, that one.
Okay.
That's cool.
It's a math problem.
Yes, well, thank everyone for taking the time
Thank you
to
very much.
educate